Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathleen Kelchner with Brookstone Realtors.
Hi, and my name is Diana Avenue with Mortgage One, and it is our pleasure tonight to introduce you to the very first Mount Clemens Minute podcast. So, we wanted to start off. Kathleen and I both live, work, and play here in Mount Clemens, and we got the idea to bring Mount Clemens from the inside out to the rest of the community. And our mission statement is basically to share all that is good about living in Mount Clemens. And living here, I think, gives me a perspective, a different perspective, and it allowed us to create the Mount Clemens Minute.
Absolutely.
How about
Diana, how long have you lived in Mount Clemens?
I've been here since January of 2015,
Okay.
and we moved here on purpose. How about you?
I have actually lived here since September of 1998.
Wow, very long time.
Yep.
In the same place?
Same house. Same
Okay.
house, yep.
Right.
Why did you choose Mount Clemens?
Well, my husband chose it for the river. I am a paddleboarder, and he was driving down the street on Riverside and saw a for sale sign. And we were engaged at the time, and he thought that I would like living here, and made the appointment to see the house, and I fell in love with it, and here we are.
Good for you.
We've loved it ever since.
Good for you.
Yeah. How about you guys?
We were actually newlyweds, 1 year married, and truth be told, it was a cost factor. It was
Yeah.
what we could afford, and fell in love with the community and our house and never left.
Well, we absolutely love the community. That's why we're here. We love the walkability. We think that Mount Clemens is poised for a comeback. And because of that, we wanted to honor our very first episode with our guest, Mayor Laura Kropp. I had seen her speak at a couple of different events. And even though I think that I'm quite in the know, there are a lot of good things going on in Mount Clemens since her election in 2019 that I did not know about. And I think it's very important that the citizens of Mount Clemens understand all the good things that have been happening in the last 2 years. So, Mayor Kropp, welcome.
Thank you to you both. It is exciting. It's an exciting time here in Mount Clemens. And it's not necessarily just since November of 19 when I was elected, but it's just, I think, compounding and that momentum is building. And it's a pretty amazing thing that that momentum did not stop during COVID. And so we're really excited, and I'm really excited to be here today and to share some of that stuff that's happening.
Well, thank you. So some of the things that really impressed me when I first heard you speak at a private event was specifically about what was happening during COVID. And I don't think that the residents of the city understand what it takes to keep a zero closure rate on businesses in the city, not only in an 18-month period, but during COVID. So would you expound on not only what didn't happen, but what has happened since COVID?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, obviously, everyone knows the world shut down, right? And I remember walking down the street of Macomb Place and stopping at Cherry Street by the fountain and thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do?
Right.
And will these doors ever open again?
It's pretty desolate.
I remember walking in my house that next day, that night, and after just trying to touch base with as many people as I could safely, and just trying to figure out how do we formulate a plan, and I always try to look at things that are that seem like are a negative thing and turn it into, okay, let's try to search for the opportunity. And when everything shut down, it was really tough to find that opportunity, right? I mean, I think because there were so many unknowns and it was just so scary. So, and I remember my husband going, we're both, just a little background, of course, my husband's a, pretty serious entrepreneur. I always say
so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a business owner, and, I come from a teaching background and then working in our company. And I think we are both kind of tough people, right? We survived the recession, and we just both feel like, okay, we're not wimps.
Right.
we really, and he looked at me and he said, are you okay? And I thought, oh boy. So I must have looked rough that day, but it really made me stop and think, okay, how are we going to take this tragedy, right, that was happening to the entire world, and turn it into something that we could work with. And that's really the grit of it behind it. And what we did was we turned basically into a grassroots, we're going to try to find as much as we can resources for every single business in downtown, right? And and it started with myself, Michelle Weiss, Brian Tingley, our community development director, and DDA director, and basically we handed out flyers that had our grant writer, her phone number, her cell phone on it, and said, listen, the minute this money starts coming in, which we knew, we had already got wind of pretty quickly that there would be some relief. We had no idea what that would mean, right? And the first round was pretty disappointing because it really went to a lot of larger companies.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it did not go to our mom and pop people, but still, like, we basically just kept trying to drill into people like, okay, we are going to help you walk this road. And we did that. And we had businesses who didn't know what profit and loss statements were. So when the stipulations came out for these grants, they didn't know how to really formulate that. So, and don't get me wrong, these were people who were really gritty and trying to get it done. I mean, so we were right there with them, and I think that's what helped.
Yeah, business owners are in business to do the things they're passionate about. They don't understand how to, a lot of times, write a business plan. 20 years of banking has taught me that. So
of course.
So
so we took a lot of the time that we had, because while we were dealing with all these things, like where are the homeless going to go to the bathroom? That was like all of a sudden this problem. Just things that you don't think about, of course, happened during COVID. So there were lots of, like, I felt like fires that we had to extinguish immediately. And all those things happening during COVID. But then also we had this time where people were at home working, or where we weren't getting together for meetings and things like that in person. So we had time, we found. And that was something that I thought, here's the opportunity. Because one of the main goals, what I knew when I became mayor, was that I wanted to set the city with a plan. When I became a commissioner, it became glaringly obvious that we were just trying to keep the lights on. And my husband and I experienced some of that during the recession. We experienced that we were trying to keep the lights on, and we weren't setting goals of 5 years because we didn't know if there would be a next month. Right? So at some point, you have to realign your thinking and say, okay, we have to stop just thinking about keeping the lights on and move on to, what do we want to be in 5 years? Well, Mount Clemens has never really recovered from the recession that way. And we really just kept thinking, we have no money. We don't know what we're going to do. And so I kept saying, let's set some goals. So when I became mayor, that was my first initiative other than hiring a city manager. We hired the city manager 1 week before COVID. Yeah. So he came on, and thank God he was there, because he had been a city manager previously of Royal Oak. So his experience really helped with that. And in July of 2020, we sat down as a commission, very far apart, and we made the first strategic plan that I would say that the city actually has worked. The city had a strategic plan, but it sat on a shelf.
So when everybody would say, why don't we have money for this, or why don't we have money for that, it's going to be directly related to having a strategic plan. If you have a plan and you're able to plan for contingencies, you would be able to answer that question and not just say, we just don't have the money.
Well, and I think their previous strategic plan were not necessarily realistic goals. They were like, for example, one of the previous strategic plans was from 2015. It said, we want to revitalize the mineral baths. Well, that's not necessarily the municipal government's role, right? Is to create a business in town. That's something that, now if you said through economic development, we want to do the and, find developers who might do that, that's something else. But there weren't anything tangible, right? Something that you could say, okay, in 6 months we can accomplish that.
Clear and concise goals and where we're
Absolutely.
going.
So we really focused on, and we brought in a facilitator to help with making this strategic plan so that he could kind of guide us to, like, let's look at what our real assets are. Let's look at what our strengths are in the city and how do we capitalize on those things, right? So we did, and we came up with a great, from what I, at that time, it was a great strategic plan, and we've been working it, and it's not something that's set in stone, right? It's definitely a fluid document that, like, even last night we had a work session on it, and we tweaked it and moved it, and said, why aren't we making progress here? And, oh, great, look, we can check that off the list, So we tried to, like, really move things. And this was the first year ever, this last budget year, that we actually aligned our resources to the goal.
That's huge.
That's fantastic.
It really was. I remember calling my grandma and saying, we can put our money where we want to accomplish something. And she said, it just seems like your city's been around for 200 years.
And the light bulb just went on.
I just said, well, that's okay. Small victories. I'm excited.
So, Laura,
Absolutely.
what is the thing that you're most proud of that came out of the strategic plan? And maybe give us something that we're working on in the next year or two.
I would say that one of the overarching themes has been, because we have a lack of revenue in the city, we need partnerships. Right. And so a lot of partnerships have been formed. We have brought many pieces of recreation to Mount Clemens through partnerships with an agency called TCB Mentoring. We've brought it from an agency through Advancing Macomb. Mm-hmm. We have brought more economic development through using part of a partnership with the city and the DDA. We've also brought more economic development with a partnership with Macomb County Economic Development and Planning, and they have been a huge partnership that we didn't utilize before, and those types of bringing in those resources to kind of we were resource dry,
Sure.
and so now that has really helped. I think understanding that we have to be creative in how to obtain these things for our residents. We're never going to be able to just write a check for everything.
Right.
And so I think that's probably something I'm extremely proud of. And I really think that's also one of the main roles of being mayor, because your job as mayor is not to run the day-to-day operations. That's why we have a city manager.
Right.
So instead, it's to bring these network and bring these groups that can help that city manager and implement the things that the city commission and myself say these are our priorities, from the strategic plan. Then, bringing those people to the table, it's been something that I'm extremely proud of. So
That's huge.
I think
awesome.
too, in that networking, meeting people from every part of our city and really trying to focus on that diversity of our community. I appointed the first African American woman to the DDA. I appointed the first African American woman to the Planning Commission. I have appointed the first person, African American and person from our northeast corridor to a board and commission, which hasn't happened.
It needs a voice. That corridor needs
For
a
sure,
voice.
for sure. I mean, it probably, arguably, needs the most resources,
It does.
right?
100%.
And so, so we've tried to be mindful of all of those things, and I was excited because we did all of those things before the world caught to that, and so
You
that
didn't
was
have
exciting.
to be told to do that.
No,
You just saw that it was there. So there are some good things going on in that quadrant.
yeah. So, the school district recently gave the city the keys back to Carnes Community Center. And so that's really exciting. But it comes with a lot of responsibility, right?
Sure.
It's another facility to take care of. And like we just said, the resources are are strained, I guess you would say. And so we were like, okay, how are we going to navigate this? And we really wanted the community center to be a place where it's not just, there's a great basketball court, but the last thing we want is it just to be a sports facility, right? We know that community needs the most resources. And so we know we want it to be kind of a foundation to help build that community. And so Advancing Macomb is one of the agencies that started to connect with an organization, the Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan, and they it kind of just was very organic. When that happened and when we were getting Carnes, just really it was interesting timing. And so I feel like I really do believe when things happen like that and they just go, you're not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Right.
You know, you don't have to work it that much. It just kind of starts evolving. That really, I think, is key, right?
Sure.
And that group, that organization has been terrific. And so we're trying at this point to raise the funds that will then enable that to happen. So we're hoping that what our target goal is to raise $1.3 million, a lot of money, $1.3 million for the first 3 years of operating costs. And that does sound like a lot of money for the first 3 years of operating costs, but obviously that's the foundation. You're building something. So it's going to take a lot of investment in the beginning, right? So the city has committed $75,000 for this year for that, and hopefully we'll be able to continue that for a few more years. But for this year, we've committed 75, and we have a few of other grants that are kind of we're waiting to hear, and they're large, substantial grants. So we're hoping to have by the first of the year a significant announcement from the Boys and Girls Club that like when there's a target opening date. But they have been doing some soft kind of like pop-up events at the center. But we do also plan to have Sportport open soon, which is a sports lending program that we have in the city, which a lot of people may not know about.
I've never heard of it.
I haven't.
Okay,
either.
so we have this Sportport program is through the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation that they gave us this grant, and we have two people that run this TCB mentoring. Actually, two people from TCB mentoring, Thomas Barnes and Carl Haig, run the Sportport program for us. And what it is people can come in, use their library card, and rent, essentially free, any kind of sports equipment that you can think of. I mean, we have like everything from flag football kits to basketballs, soccer balls, volleyballs. I mean, anything.
Wow.
Tennis rackets, racquetball. I mean, just kickballs, anything that
That's
you can
pretty
think of.
amazing.
Yeah. And so we were able to purchase all this equipment and the equipment to do the lending part of it. And they have been doing mobile in the parks, which is probably why you haven't heard about it.
How
Because
fun.
you're not necessarily their target market, I don't
Right.
think, at this point. But but they've been at the parks running all these programs. It's really been great for the kids to see them out in the parks every evening in the summer. So
Playing,
much
yeah.
fun. Yeah, and we did this youth kickball league with them this last 6 weeks of summer. So much fun. I got to play kickball. I did get knocked over. It was really fun.
Did you count that as leg day?
Yeah, I really should have. Yeah. So, we've been, I think that's probably one of the most, I don't know. There's been so many fun things that.
I'm excited for that center. I really am.
Me too.
Driving through that northeast part of the city, it's evident that it needs resources, and if we could start with the children and education and mentoring programs, which brings. I was going to ask, are you going to be reaching out to the community? Is there a need for sponsorship, mentorship? Are there going to be programs that you're going to want local
absolutely.
residents and businesses to be?
Yeah,
part of?
absolutely. So the Boys and Girls Club really strongly believes in being an essential part of what they call the ecosphere. So if they are going to do an event, then that's exactly who they're going to reach out to for the resources for those events. So if they're going to provide lunch for the kids, they're going to use a local restaurant. But more than that, if they're going to do a tech, if they want to do something tech related, then they're going to reach out to some of the companies that are within, Mount Clemens, Clinton Township, our immediate area, so that they are pairing kids with industry. Because one of the main goals for Boys and Girls Club is for kids to not only, do well in school, but to be homeowner ready when they walk out of, when they turn 18 and walk out of these programs.
We can help with that.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So to be homeowner ready, to be either labor or college ready. You know, I mean, they have very specific goals so that kids understand that they're ready to climb this socioeconomic ladder, and that they are not caught in a cycle of poverty. And that's why we really felt like they were a good fit, because it was much more than just, about the gym and about the sports programs that they also offer.
Sure.
We're getting young minds and bodies ready for the future.
Absolutely.
Which is great.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to make sure that we talked about the rebranding that the city just went through, because I think it's very significant. We've had an identity crisis for a long time.
Yeah.
And part of the strategic plan was bringing brand awareness to Mount Clemens. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, that's like been one of my pet projects, probably like my baby, really, because I have always just felt like we had no identity in Mount Clemens. Like, we had this past identity of who we were, but we really didn't know where we were going. And we have like 3 logos currently in circulation. It's a very bizarre
Confusing,
thing.
yeah.
It's very, very confusing. And from somebody who, I worked in our small business, and I helped my husband from the very beginning, help develop that brand of what we are and who we are. And I mean, if you walk into our company, every single person in the company knows our core values. They know, and I mean, even my son, who sweeps the floors, although he would be angry that I say sweeps the floors now, because he's older and he does more than that, but he used to just sweep the floors. If you said, Jack, what is the R in Kropp on our core values, he could tell you that it meant respect, and he could tell you why and how you lived out that core value at our shop. And I know that sounds cheesy, but it really creates this culture. And we were really lacking that in the city. And that's part of a brand. And I think that's when people are like, oh, we didn't need to spend money to get a new logo. No, maybe not. But we did need to spend money on getting a new corporate culture.
Sure.
We did need to spend money on gathering all of the pieces of what our city is and formulating that as a story that everybody who's from outside of Mount Clemens can understand. And now we have these taglines that I just love. Like, my favorite is vintage vibe, vibrant vision.
I love it. Say that 5 times fast.
I know, right? I have to really stop and think when I say it, but it's like, that's exactly who we are.
Right.
And we need to attract new business. So, kind of going off track for a second,
Totally.
how many new businesses have we had in the last 18 months?
Oh, not 18 months. Probably a dozen, for sure. Especially if you're going outside of the downtown footprint. But like, I always try to name about 9 right now, like that are in, either about to open their doors, or I probably would say 2 to 3 months out.
Okay.
So they're, definitely. It's
and they're
exciting.
part of that vision. They see the vision. They
I
see
think
what's
so.
happening.
Yeah, absolutely. They're definitely part of that, and they feel so invested already to be part of this new movement of like bringing people back to downtown, and really and understanding that we could be, and we are going to be, the epicenter of Macomb County, right? We are going to be the food scene. We are going to be the cultural scene. We are going to be the entertainment capital. Those are things that are coming to fruition, and that's such an exciting movement to be part of.
Absolutely.
So we talked last week, and might there be some entertainment coming back that you might want to talk about, maybe?
Okay. Oh, yes. Like, wait, I don't remember. Yes, we are really excited. We are talking to sponsors right now, because we've been hearing for, even in just my own friendship, my own friend circles, they've been beating me up about, like, we need Riverfront concerts back.
Yes.
And, so we hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you, and we want it so bad. We want that to happen. And so what we're planning on doing is working with a lot of local companies. It's expensive.
It's very expensive.
It's expensive to bring in the equipment to make that sound system happen, because of that area is so large, and just the acoustics of it with the sound bouncing
Buildings.
back and all that. Right, exactly. So it's expensive. But with that, we also want the Riverfront to be something that, well, first of all, the Riverfront defines us, right? The Riverfront makes us unique to the other communities that have a pseudo downtown, but also it makes us unique to everywhere in Macomb County. And so nobody has a riverfront running through like we do in the downtown. All right, maybe Utica. Whatever.
That's all right. They
No
got a
offense,
ballpark,
Utica.
but we're going to have concerts.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. Anyway, so
Did you want to talk about a little bit what we talked about, what may be able to happen on the riverfront because of the strategic plan that we have?
Well, we're just looking at our next step with the riverfront, and the commission has really been excited about. We need to start thinking about what's going to happen with the riverfront. So we're going to start looking into like feasibility studies on what should we do,
Okay.
right? I mean, it's endless. There's so many endless possibilities, and with that it becomes a challenge. Right? Because everybody has an opinion about that. And, is it the right timing? And again, we want it to be something that it's accessible to everyone. We still want the community to be able to enjoy the riverfront. The worst thing I think we could do is just throw some buildings up and, then cut off that accessibility to the community.
Absolutely.
So I don't think anybody's looking to do that. But, why is a building like City Hall sitting and a parking lot sitting on the riverfront when we have full-time employees? We have about 16 employees, not including the sheriff, but we have 16 employees working in that building. It used to be like almost 60 employees working in that building. So it needs to be right fitted.
It needs to be right fitted, and I think a lot of people don't understand. In order to grow, you have to have a little bit of growing pains, right?
Sure.
And whether or not somebody else comes to develop it, we can't, as a city, move forward the way we are. You can't grow if you're standing still.
Sure. Well, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, we're paying heating bills for single pane windows.
Right.
If you look at City Hall, there's walls that are windows and they're all single pane. And is that good stewardship of money?
It's probably not an effective.
I feel like I'm throwing money out a window.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, they're very serious issues. And again, our budget is like almost $12 million a year annually, right?
Yep.
For a city the size of ours, that's significantly less. It's about half of what normally a city would have. We have 48% of our land is non-taxable.
Right.
So that is a big hurdle. If most businesses, if I cut their budget in half,
Would not be able to
they
run.
they couldn't operate the way they are, right?
Yeah,
It's that's why, like I said, those partnerships are key.
Yeah.
We have to be creative and
So if you want to be a partner and you have money,
call me.
586.
Call me.
So, how are we doing on time, Walter? All right.
Yeah,
So
great.
do you want to ask any questions or do the wrap up?
Honestly and truly, I guess, what else is there that's exciting that's going
So
on? What can we look forward to in the next?
I'm super excited about this. Today the DDA, so hot off the press.
Ooh.
Yeah, today
You heard it here first.
First.
Yeah,
That's right.
yes. I'm super excited. Today, the DDA, the DDA board, gosh, my head is like all excited. So excited. They approved an expenditure to hire a company, a professional company, to decorate the downtown with like a beautiful from Walnut to Pine Street on Macomb Place. So we're just starting there because this is the foundation, right? And it's going to be all new Christmas lights, a whole new Christmas display.
Oh,
so
how exciting.
that's a brand new thing for the next couple of months. You're going to see that evolve, and that it's just something I think that will lift everyone's spirits. And I know everyone's really looking forward to the holidays and the excitement of things. So yeah, we're gonna get to see a pretty downtown for Christmas, and that's exciting.
That's exciting. So you brought up Christmas. Does that mean we'll see the Santa Parade this year?
Yep. At this point, the Santa Parade is going on November 20th.
Oh.
You can catch the Santa Parade coming down Main Street and on its typical route. We're gonna still do that route. So yeah, we'll see in terms of size of events.
Sure.
See how many people will come out for not even. people who participate in the parade. We, we're trying to all still feel who's comfortable with what, and
Sure.
so we're respectful of that. And but we are getting a lot of people who want to do things. I mean, it's exciting to have that opportunity again. So, yep, the Santa Parade will go on. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
it's exciting. And this week, the 23rd, we will have Spooktacular.
Okay.
Oh, we are having Spooktacular.
Yeah, Spooktacular's
Nice.
happening. And then
And where is that going to be?
that is the Roscott parking lot and all throughout downtown, all the
Okay.
businesses. Then the 19th of November will be the Christmas tree lighting.
Okay.
The 20th of November is the Santa Parade. The day after Black Friday, and I can't really think of the date right now. So Saturday is Shop Local.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
That's
we
important.
want everyone to come down and support all these stores. We have a lot of great new stores and a lot of new great businesses opening. So come and check all of those out. It's gonna be fun.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. Grab a hot cocoa and come downtown and enjoy the beautiful Christmas lights and shopping and experience everything that is good in Mount Clemens. Mayor Kropp, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today.
Just thanks for having me. I'm so excited I got to be part of the first episode.
Ooh.
And I'd love to come back whenever you have me.
All
All
right.
right. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. And thank you for tuning in, and look for us here in the very near future with our next podcast.
Bye-bye.
Bye.